Good afternoon, everyone. We'll start with our today's lecture of DSA. Okay. In the last lecture, we have seen the array data structure, right? One in that we have seen the 1D array, right? We will continue the lecture with the same. The last lecture was just a second. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll welcome you all for today's lecture of DSA. We'll continue with the previous topic that was array. Okay. In the last lecture, we have seen 1D array and a short program to read and display the array elements. Then re- we have tried to write one program to display the array elements in the reverse order. Right. The next point or next program is that we have to read and display the array elements along with their total. The problem statement, the previous problems that we have studied, in that what we used to do, array was defined in the program itself, elements were written in the program itself, right? That was a static array, reading of the static array. We have to write a generalized program, that means depending upon the user how many numbers he wants to enter into the array, it will be decided on the user's input. Okay, so we have to read those elements, and at the same time we have to display that elements along with the addition of that their numbers in the array. Got the problem statement? Okay, so first statement will be as usual, including that hash include iostream.h header file, then using standard namespace and all that. After that we will start with the main function. In the main function, what I will require, I'll require one array, and for storing the addition of that numbers, I will require one variable, let's say sum, initialized to 0. Initially the addition will be 0, hence it will be initialized to 0. Then n variable is taken. This variable will represent the total number of elements in the array. Okay, because we don't know how many numbers will be there in the array, because it will depend upon the user's input. Okay, so a variable n is set, n is taken. Next statement, we will display a message for the user to enter the number of elements in array. So user will enter any integer value, and that value will be stored in the variable n. Okay, so what we have now, we have a array, let's say, whose name is a and size is 10. A value will be taken from a user that will indicate the number of elements to be stored in that array, and that value will be stored in the variable n. Now next statement is to ask the user to enter those elements. Okay, so see out, enter the elements. Okay, now we have to read these elements. Say if it was a single element, then I would have written only a single in statement to read the value of that element. But since here we have to read the multiple values in the array, so a for loop will be taken for reading those values, right? Now how many elements are there in the array? Total n elements are there, whose index range will be from 0 to n, right? Hence, so what I have taken, for loop I is equals to 0, because the first element will be stored at 0th location, and the last element or the nth element will be stored at n minus 1. Hence the condition is I less than n, I plus plus. And in for loop I will write the cn statement, where I will read that value of that element and store into the a of I location. Okay, so initially when my I is equals to 0, this will be a of 0. So first element that the user will enter, it will be stored at or read at a of 0th location. I will be incremented, I will become 1. Check the condition, I less than n, yes. For time being, just consider the value of n as 5. That user wants to enter the 5 elements in the array. Okay, so I less than n, yes. So again, cin statement to read the next value, a of 1. Value will be stored at a of 1 location. Again increment the variable I becomes 2. Check the value, I less than n, yes, true. read the element, third element, and store it at the second position, that is a of 2. Continue this when I becomes equals to 4, that means total 5 elements will be read 0 to 4, and when I becomes 5, this condition will terminate, that is I less than n, and for loop will be closed. Okay, and it will go to the next line. Getting it how to read the elements of an array from user. Okay, now next point or the next statement of the function, our program is to display these elements along with its total. Okay, so I'll just display a single message that array elements are. Again, I have to display the elements of array one by one. Hence, again a for loop will be required. Again, for I is equals to 0, total n elements are there. So I less than n, I plus plus C out a of I. At the same time, what I have to do, I have to perform the addition of those elements also, right? So I will write one statement, sum equals to sum plus a of I. Okay, now what will happen? Initially my value of sum is 0. Hence, let's say the five numbers are 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, initially I is 0, that is first number. A of 0 is my 1. Sum is initially 0, so this value will become 0. 0 plus 1 will be 1, and this total 1 will be stored in the sum. Okay, again increment the I value. A of 1 is now 2. Again this statement, now sum has one value, 1 plus 2 3. 1 plus 2 is 3, so 3 will get stored into the sum variable. In the next iteration, 3 plus 3, 6. 6 will be stored in this. Like this, when the total number of all the array elements will be read, displayed at the same time, they will be added to the sum variable. Okay, and after the completion of the for loop, I'll just print that C out addition is and the value of some variable. Okay, sorry, my syntax is wrong over here. It's like this. Okay, so this statement will print the value of the sum variable and it will terminate my program. Okay, getting it, everyone? What if I write the C out of the sum statement in this in the for loop? If I write this in the for loop, what will happen? It will print the sum value for each iteration of the for loop. I don't want the sum value in each iteration. I just want the total addition at the last. Hence, I have written the C out addition is sum at the end of the for loop or after the termination of the for loop. Got it? Everyone got this program? Yes or no? Any doubt?
Hello, ma'am.
Huh? Yes?
Ma'am, in for loop, there will be int there. Is it
Where?
necessary?
Say
First
first or
for loop.
second?
In first for
Yes,
loop.
yes, because this I variable, we are taking this I variable. We have not declared this I variable over here. That's why I have to write over here. If I would have declared this variable here in the first statement, then no need of writing int over here. Getting it? Declaration of variable
Okay,
should be
ma'am.
done. So it should, you in CPP language you can do it anywhere in the program. Wherever you will use that variable at that time also you can declare that variable. It is only the condition for C program that the variable should be declared at the starting of the program. Okay. So in C you can declare it anywhere. Okay. Any other doubt? Okay, we will continue. Now next topic is that two-dimensional array. Till now we have seen the one-dimensional array, its memory location, how it looks, and then how it is stored in the memory, program about that. Now we will go for the two-dimensional array. Now two-dimensional array, uh, sorry for interruption. One question is there, ma'am, can we use built-in function to count total sum? Yes, you can do it, but our program is simple. Just we have to add the addition of the array elements. You can go for that. You can use the built-in functions. No issues. Okay. Okay, where was I? In 2D array. Okay, now two-dimensional array, it is also called as a matrix. You know all matrix, what is? It consists of rows and columns. So a 2D array can be thought as if it is a table having number of rows and number of columns. A diagrammatical representation is like this. Now this table or this array, 2D array, has three rows and three columns. The first element will be stored at the index 0 0, that is array of 0 0 location. Second element will be of array of 0 1. Now the first value in the square bracket represent its row index, and the second value in the second square bracket represents its column index of that element. Suppose, consider this array 1 2. Now this number will indicate that it is stored in the first row and second column. Okay, like a single dimensional array, this row index will also start from 0 1 2. Column index will start from 0 1 2 3 4. Though there are 5 columns and 3 rows, index range will be from 0 to 2 and 0 to 4. Okay, now syntax for declaring a 2D array, it is that similar to the 1D array declaration, 2D array also is declared in the same way. Here first of all we have to write the type, then the array name, then in square brackets its row index, and in the second square bracket its column index. Now type is nothing but the data type of that array. That means what type of value the array is going to store. If it is going to store integer value, then it will be int. If it is going to store the
Hello, ma'am. Your
character
voice is
value, then
breaking.
it will be char. Okay. Now am I audible properly? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now the array A, 3 or 4, it means that this array will have three rows whose index will range from 0, 1, 2, and four columns whose index will range from 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. For example, consider this two-dimensional array. Now the first element is 8. It will be stored at the location A of 0, 0. That is row index is 0, column index is 0. Now what will be the row column index of this 9? It will be stored at location A of row is 1, column is 2. So ninth element will be stored at the location A of 1 2. Similarly, here we have written the location and its values. So A of 0 0 is having 8, A of 0 1 is having 6, A of 0 2 is having 5, A of 0 3 is having 4, and so on. Now the first square bracket will indicate the row index of that element, and the second square bracket will indicate the column index of that element. Getting it? How to declare a 2D array? Okay. Next is memory representation. Uh, we know that single one dimensional array is represented sequentially in the memory. A continuous block of memory is located allocated for that array, and the base address location of the element starts from the base address, right? First address. Okay, similarly a 2D array elements are also stored in a continuous memory location. Only there are two methods of representing those in the memory. One first method is column measure order, and the second is row measure order. We will see each of them individually. First one is column measure order. Now in column measure order, the elements are stored in column wise. Okay, that means first column of that table will be stored first, then second column, then third column, then fourth column. So all the elements in the first column will be stored first, then all the elements in the second column will be stored, then all the elements in the third, and so on. Okay, so this is nothing but the column measure order. Okay, so we can see here previous example. This is our matrix or 2D array. The elements are 86542197362. Now if we are using a column measure matrix method for representing in the memory, first column, that is this one, zeroth column, will be stored. So element stored will be 823, then 616, then 594, then 472. Okay, look over here, 8263616 594 472. Okay, so this is nothing but a column measure order for storing the elements in the memory location. Second method is row measure order. In row measure order, the elements are stored row wise. That is, the elements of first row are stored in first 10 location. Then the elements of the second row are stored. Then the elements of the third row are stored. Okay. So again, we will look at the previous example. So first row is this zeroth row. So element order will be 865421973642. We will just check it. Yes, 865421973642. Okay, getting it? So this is nothing but a row measure order for storing the elements. Got it? How we store the elements in the memory location? Diagrammatically, it looks like a single dimensional array is used to store the elements, but we cannot say that a single dimensional array is a continuous, it is nothing but a continuous block of memory is used to store the elements. Only depending upon whether it is a row measure or column measure, the elements are stored. If it is a row measure order, then all the rows will be elements will be stored row by row, and if it is a column measure, then the elements will be stored column by column. Okay, getting it? Now we will see the how to calculate the memory address in 2D. Okay, now first of all we will see the row measure system. If the elements are stored in the row measure order, then the memory address is calculated by this formula, that is a of ij is equals to b plus w into in bracket n into I minus lr plus j minus lc. Okay, now w is nothing but the base address or the address of the first element, that is starting address of the first element in the array. Then second is the w is nothing but the width or the size of that element, that is how much bytes are required to store a single element. If it is integer, again it will require 2 bytes. If it is a character, it will require 1 byte. If it is float, it will require 4 bytes. So that is nothing but a w. Then next value is n is the number of columns. Okay, next is I is the row index of the element whose address is to be found out. Then lr is the lower bound of the lower bound of the row index, that is what which one is the uh, lowest index of the row. Here we are starting from the zeroth index, so lr and lc will be the having value 0. lc is the column lowest column index. Okay, lowest limit of the column, and this is lowest limit of the row. But since we are starting from the zeroth index, lr and lc will have value 0 0. J is nothing but the column index of the element whose address is to be found out. Okay, now remember that if we are finding the memory address of row measure system, then we need the value for column, that is number of columns. Okay, that will be multiplied by this I minus lr plus j into j minus lc. Okay, for example, array is taken, array x is taken whose size is 20 into 20 comma 10. It requires 2 bytes of storage for each element. If the beginning location is or the beginning address is 3864, determine the address location of this element, that is x of 68. Okay, that is, let's say we have an array x where total number of rows are 20 and total number of columns are 10, and each byte requires 2 bytes. Okay, and address of the starting location or the base address is 3864, and we have to find the address of this element, that is x of 68. So can you find out? I'll just show you the previous formula. Okay, This is formula, that is address of Aij is equals to B plus W into in bracket N into first is I minus LR plus J minus LC. Chalo, solve it on your notebook and write the answer in the chat box. I'll show you question again. Have you noted the formula? Everyone, have you noted the formula? Okay. Question is this. Here you will require the value of base address. Base address is W, that is 3864. Sorry, base address is B, whose value is 3864. W is width. It is nothing but 2 bytes. Then number of columns, that is N. Over here it is 10. Value of IJ are 6 and 8 respectively. Okay, these are the given values and this is the formula. Calculate the address and write your answer in the chat box. Okay, I got one answer. Others? Okay. Yes. So the address of that element x of 68 is 4000. Okay. W is 3864. Value of B, that is base address is 3864. W is 2. N is total number of columns, that is 10. I and J are 6 and 8. LR and LC are 0, 0 because we are starting from the 0, 0 location. Okay. So after calculation, we get it as 4000. Okay. So this is got the everyone how to calculate the memory location address of 2D array if the elements are stored in the row major order. Okay. Always remember that they will never always they will not ask to calculate the address, or in the some questions what they may do, they may give this address, they may will try to find out the value of W, or they may try to find out as the base address of the element or the total number of columns in the given matrix. Okay, so if you know this formula, you can calculate the value of any of these parameters. Okay. Next is column major address. Now suppose the elements are stored in the column major system and we have to find the memory address of any element. Formula is again same, only difference is over in this paragraph, in this parameter. Okay, so formula is A of Ij is equals to B plus W into in bracket I minus LR plus M into J minus LC. Okay, where the new parameter M is nothing but the number of rows in the given matrix, total number of rows in the given matrix. Okay, if you compare the row major formula for row major system and column major system, difference is between only in the square bracket. In row major, we have to multiply this first round bracket parameters with the value number of columns, and in column major we have to multiply the second term by the number of rows. Okay, remaining things are same. Okay, again another question is there. that array x of 68 requires 4 bytes of storage for each element. If beginning location is 1500, determine the address location of x of 34. Chalo, solve it and tell me what is the result of this. Is the screen visible, guys? No. Okay, okay, okay. Just wait a minute. I'll check it again. Just a second. Huh? Just 2 more minutes, guys. Is it now visible? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the question was, an array of x 6 of 8 requires 4 bytes of storage for each element. If the beginning location is 1500, determine the address location of an element which is stored at the x of 3/4 location. Okay. These elements are stored using the column measure format. So find out by using the previous formula. The formula was address of a of ij is equals to b plus w into square bracket I minus LR plus M into J minus LC. Okay. So here value of B is 1500. W here it is 4 bytes now. I is 3. J is 4. And here you will require the number of rows, that is 6. Calculate the value. So we got the answers. We'll check it whether they are correct or not. Okay. Yes, it is 1608. Right. So everyone got how to calculate the address or the address of any element in a given 2D matrix. Everyone, it may be either using a row measure or a column measure. That just you have to check it. Okay, fine. If you have any doubt up till now, you can ask the questions. Okay. Now, next is we will see the example of a 2D array. So we have to read and display the elements of 2D array. Okay. At the starting of the lecture, we have seen the example of how to read and display elements of one dimensional array. Now we will see how to read and display elements of two dimensional array. Okay. So for that, I'll open one Word file and then here we will write the code. Okay. So for this, first we will start with the function that is void main. Is the font visible properly or should I increase the font size? Hello. Should I increase the font size or no? Increase. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now I think this much is sufficient. Okay. Uh, First of all, we have to read and display the values of an 2D array. So for that, we will require one array. Let's say integer int. I'll declare one integer array a. Let's its name be a and size. Because we don't know the total number of rows and columns, we have to ask to the user. Hence, I have declared a random size of 1010 because I don't think that user may enter a value of row and column more than 10 values. So we will take one, assume that the array is smaller, having the number of rows and column less than 10. So a continuous block of for 10 rows and 10 columns we will allocate. Okay. Then for storing the total number of rows, I'll take one variable, let's say m, and for a column, I'll take one variable, let's say I. And I'll require two variables for indicating the index of those variables, that is I and j. Okay. So first statement, cout, ask the user to enter the total number of rows. So enter the number of rows or total number of rows in the matrix. By cin function, read that value in the m variable. Again, cout, ask the user to enter the total number of columns. Enter the number of columns. Read in the variable n. Okay. Now we have one array A whose number of rows are m and number of columns are n. Now we have to read those elements. Okay. Now, so for that, for here, what we will do, we will store, or for the programming purpose, from here onwards, we will store the elements in the row major column. Okay, always we will use the row major system. That is, first row completely, then second row completely, then third row completely. Okay, so here for I equals to 0, I less than, we are, since we are using the row measure concept, the upper for loop or the outer for loop will have the values of rows, that is m I plus plus. And the inter for loop or the inner for loop will have the value for column, that is j is equals to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. And what here I have to do, cin, store that value at a of I, j. Uh, Dear students, I would like to tell you that here, since the word is having auto correction, this is a case sensitive language, all should be in the small letters only. Okay, it is getting automatically corrected at the upper statement. Each time I'm not going to change it, but you should always remember these things. Okay, now what will happen for this? First of all, mm, here before this for loop, I'll just display message to user to enter the elements. Enter the elements. Okay, now starting from you over here, the first of all message will be displayed. Enter the number of rows, that value will be stored in m variable. Then enter the number of columns, value will be stored in this n value. Then enter the elements. Now first for loop, I will be start from 0. Now suppose user has to enter some values. Let's say the matrix is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, suppose these are my 3 by 3 matrix, we can say it, whose values are like this. Okay, now we have to store these values in the matrix. Now initially value of m and n will be now 3 3 for this example, right? Then for I is equals to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. Again here for j is equals to 0, j less than 3, j plus plus. I is also 0, j is also 0. First value will be read at the location a of 0 0. So first value will be entered 1 and it will be stored at location a of 0 0. Okay, then inner for loop, j will get incremented. We have seen how the nested for loop works, right? So once the your inner for loop completes its loop, at that time this I variable will incremented. Okay, so for the next iteration I will remain continue to be 0, j will get incremented to 1. Next value will be stored at location 0 1, that is a of 0 1, that is 0th row and first column. So this two value will be entered, right? Again increment the value of j becomes now 2, I still remains 0, that is 0th row and third column, second column, that is 0 1 to second column. So three value will be read. Okay, it will be stored at the location a of 0 2. When j will be incremented, j becomes 3. Now 3 is less than 3, condition becomes false, this for loop will terminate, it will increment the I value. Now I becomes 1. So this first row is completely read. Now I will become 1. It will the counter controller will go to the next line. Again j is initialized to 0, that is first column. So next element that will be read, it will be stored at location a of 1 0. So 4 will be stored at location a of 1 0. Again increment j becomes 1, I is 1. So next element, that is 5, will be stored at location 1 1, a of 1 1. Again increment j becomes 2. Next element will be stored at location a of 1 2. Again increment j becomes now 3. Terminate the for loop, increment the value of I becomes now 2. So it will go to the next row. Then j is again initialized to 0. So next element will be stored at location 2 0, that will be 7. Next element will be read at location 2 1, that is 8. And the last element will be read at the location 2 2. Now when after this j is incremented, j becomes 3. Inner for loop will terminate, I will be incremented. Now I becomes 3. Again this condition will also terminate and the outer for loop will also terminate. Hence, these values will be stored in the appropriate locations. Got it? How to read the values? Everyone? Now we have to display these values in the matrix format. If you directly display, it will be displayed in a single array, single linear list, but we have to display in the matrix format. So for that purpose, first of all, I will display one message, that is cout array elements are again for I equals to 0, I less than m, I plus plus. Now what I have to do, I have to display row by row elements, and after displaying one complete row, the next row should be displayed on the next line, right? That means after completion of each iteration of I, the controller or the element display should go on the next line here. So what I will do, I will see out, just write over here as slash n. What it will do, after incrementing the row variable or going to the next element, a new line will be printed, and the next row will be printed on the new line. So over here, for j equals to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. In the for loop, see out slash t a of I j. Okay. So what will happen? Initially again I is 0, see out to the new line. So when this message array elements are, it will be displayed. Because of this slash n, the cursor will move to the next line. Again j is initialized to 0. Slash t will give space between the two elements. If you don't write this, it will not give error. What it will do, it will just eliminate the space and it will appear like a continuous number. Okay. So for giving space or a tab between this, we use the slash t. First element will be printed, that is a of 0 0, that is 1. 1 will be printed. Again inner for loop will get executed. I'll take this for loop on the next line, next page only for explanation. Okay. Huh. Here j will be incremented. I is still 1, sorry 0. J will get incremented to 1. Again slash t, after printing 1, slash t will print some space, then a of ij, that is a of 0 1 will be printed, that is 2 will be printed. Again j will be incremented to 2, condition true, slash t, so space will be given, third element will display. Once this for loop is completed, it will increment I, check the condition, I becomes 1, condition is true, see out slash n. So after doing this line, the cursor will move to the next line because of this slash n. Again for loop will be initialized j to 0 to n. Again it will display elements along with the slash t, so 4 5 6 will be displayed. After completion of this for loop, again I will be incremented, it will become 2 slash n, the cursor will move to the next line. Again j will be initialized to 0 to m, display the elements with the slash t or the space, and once this 2 value is achieved, it will terminate this outer inner for loop, then it will increment I will increment it to 3, again condition will terminate, so this for loop will terminate and your main program will terminate, displaying your output as this matrix. Okay, got everyone how to display the matrix, read and display the matrix, everyone? Again I am requesting you or appealing you all that you should ask the question if you have any doubt, because what happens, this matrix character also we will require